The iPhone 17 Pro Max is the iPhone's biggest design change in years. Some people love it, some people say it's gone too far. It's also the most powerful iPhone ever. And after 6 weeks of using it, I can tell you this. It's faster and it's cooler, but it's probably not going to change how you use your iPhone. But let's talk about this starting with the brand new design. This year, Apple gave the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max a new look, and it seems to be a little controversial. But it's grown on me. The new unibody frame was milled from a single block of metal, and it feels like it. It's heavier, sure, but it's also very balanced in the hand. The back now has this big camera plateau that stretches almost all the way across the top. It looks intentional and clean until you set it on a table and, yeah, it still wobbles. The ceramic shield on the back doesn't quite line up with the frame either, which is one of those small details that just kind of gets to me. But in the hand, it feels great. Apple's been slowly rounding the edges since the iPhone 14, and it makes a huge difference in comfort. My daughter's an artist, and she has opinions about how things look, and she is not a fan of this, and honestly, I get it. I get that some people just will not like the design, but to me though, this finally feels like a tool again instead of a piece of jewelry. I kind of like that it's more industrial and less flashy. I started with the cosmic orange color, which I thought I wanted until I realized I didn't. I and many of you have begged Apple for years to bring color to the Pro line of iPhones, and now that they have, I returned it. But a bright orange iPhone would kind of lock me into certain case colors all year, and I like to switch things up, so silver it is. Still, I hope Apple keeps doing bold Pro colors, even if I don't have the guts to stick with them. On the front, we got a 6.9-inch Super Retina XDR display. It's very much like the last few displays of the Pro iPhones. It's OLED, it's beautiful, it gets up to 1600 nits for HDR content, but now Apple says it can get up to 3000 nits outside. But setting it next to other phones that get 2000 nits, I can't really tell a difference at all. Under the hood, there's the new A19 Pro chip. 6 CPU cores, 6 GPU cores, and more neural accelerators than ever. Apple says it's up to 40% faster than the 16 Pro, helped by a new vapor chamber cooling system. In theory, that's awesome, but in practice, I can't feel the performance in my regular everyday use. My 14 and 15 Pro Max still feel just as snappy for everything I actually do. Sure, gamers might notice the difference when pushing frame rates, but I don't really play top-tier games on my iPhone. But when I played Call of Duty, it did seem to stay cooler than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But for a regular day-to-day usage of the phone, it just does not feel any different. I honestly can't think of a single thing I do or any apps that I use on the iPhone that the 14 Pro Max can't do for me. And that's not a bad thing, it just means that Apple's gotten pretty good at making fast chips for your iPhone that will feel fast for years. Still, I'm happy to have the extra power, and one day, when Apple Intelligence and the new Siri roll out in full, I'll be ready. This year, Apple gave the iPhone 17 Pro Max its most capable camera system yet. Not just in specs, but how flexible it feels. The hardware changes at first glance seem minimal, but I think the photos out of the 17 Pro Max are a real step forward. The main and ultra-wide sensors are technically the same as last year's 16 Pro, but the processing is different. Photos finally look less overcooked. The sharpening is dialed back, and now things look like photos instead of some AI art gone wrong. The new 48 megapixel zoom lens is awesome with the new 4x reach and 8x crop. You have a crazy amount of reach now from 13 millimeters all the way to 200 millimeters using the lenses, then up to 40x using digital zoom, giving you the furthest reach ever on an iPhone. Now, I wouldn't take 40x photos for something you plan to print out and hang on a wall, but I find it to be more of a utility thing, like if I'm trying to read something from far away. Using the 4x zoom is also great for taking actual portrait shots, which give you a real bokeh effect instead of some software blur that misses hair. On the front, now there's an 18 megapixel selfie camera, and while I'm not exactly a heavy selfie guy, I can tell it's sharper and cleaner, especially in low light. You can finally take landscape selfies without rotating the phone, and Center Stage automatically adjusts the framing as new faces pop in. This is no small feat, and it makes group photos way easier. There's also this new dual capture mode, which allows you to use the back camera along with the selfie camera and record both at the same time. I could see this being useful for like tutorials with family or friends or something, showing them how to do something. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other uses for it, so let me know below what you think you might use it for. Then there's the Real Pro features, which go way beyond what some dumb YouTuber thinks he can use. You've got Open Gate recording to use the full sensor, Genlock for syncing with multiple cameras, and ProRes RAW video that's massive but incredible for professionals. For most of us, none of that matters because we will never use them, but it's just another example of how powerful these devices are, and I don't mind Apple adding features, even if I don't end up using them, like camera control. Yes, the camera control button that Apple introduced with the 16 Pro. I really wanted to love it last year, yet I have found the button to be more trouble than it's worth. I don't like how the button works as a shutter button because it requires too much force to take the photo, causing the camera to shift. I don't like how it works to control settings. It's both too responsive and not responsive enough somehow. I also don't like it for opening up the camera app because I accidentally activate it all the time when picking the phone up off of a table. And yes, I do know that you can set it to need to double click to open the camera, but there's already so many other ways to do that, and muscle memory has won the day for me. So I actually have camera control disabled most of the time. Still, features I don't use aside, this is the most capable iPhone camera yet. It gives you professional-grade flexibility and a pocket-sized setup, and for the first time in a while, I feel like the photos coming out of an iPhone look like photos and not generative images. Battery life on the iPhone 17 Pro Max has been outstanding, easily making it through long days with lots of usage. I can get 6 to 7 hours of screen on time and go to bed with 20 to 40% of battery left over. My usage primarily consists of Safari, YouTube, Reddit, social apps, podcasts, email, work messaging platforms, along with things like utilities and tools that I check throughout the day. I generally do not play games on my iPhone, but I do use it an unhealthy amount overall. Apple says the 17 Pro Max gets nearly 20% more battery life compared to the 16 Pro Max, and there's definitely something to that. And for some reason, if that's not enough, the iPhone has 25-watt MagSafe and Qi 2 charging that can charge to 50% in 30 minutes, or it can charge wired to 50% in about 20 minutes. Now I want to talk about Wi-Fi for a moment. The 17 Pro Max has Wi-Fi 7, technically, but there are some caveats that almost no one will care about except for that one person who's going to call me out in the comments if I don't mention it. Yes, it has Wi-Fi 7, so you can connect it to a Wi-Fi 7 router or mesh system if you've gone out and spent hundreds of dollars upgrading your setup. But here's what Apple doesn't exactly highlight. The iPhone 17 Pro Max only supports 160 megahertz channel width, not the full 320 megahertz that Wi-Fi 7 is capable of. So while it's technically Wi-Fi 7, you won't get the absolute maximum speeds the standard allows. Now, before anyone freaks out about that, let's be real. Wi-Fi performance depends on a ton of variables, like how far away you are from the access point, or what's between your phone and the access point, how many devices are on the network, and how much interference just in general is around in the air. All of that will affect your actual speed way more than channel width. And honestly, if you're complaining about not getting multi-gigabit wireless speeds, I have to ask you, why does it matter? Even if you have gigabit internet, most websites load at just a few megabits per second, and streaming videos top out around 50 megabits per second. Even big file servers usually only hit a few hundred megabits per second. You would have to be transferring huge files over the network on a regular basis for that to even matter. So if that's you, please tell me, what is your workflow that you think you need that kind of network speed from your iPhone? I'm curious. So here we are. The question that many of you will have is, should I upgrade? And the answer for many is probably not. Take a look at your current iPhone. If you have an iPhone 16, 15, 14, or maybe even a 13 or a 12, you might be just fine replacing the battery and getting a couple more years out of it, at least as long as Apple keeps offering software updates. If you play a lot of mobile games, or you've dropped it so many times it's become a running gag with your friends and everything's cracked, or your phone is actually starting to slow down your workflow, then yeah, go ahead and look for a good trade-in deal and go for it, even though you will probably use the same apps in the same way on the new one. This is the boldest iPhone design change in a while. The updated sensors make the camera even more flexible, and the performance is more than I can ask for. There are now features that are so pro that not even I can find a use for them. I haven't experienced any major bugs or issues to note, so I can probably call this the best iPhone ever. But what do you guys think? Did you upgrade to the iPhone 17 Pro, or are you holding off another year? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, if you're coming from an iPhone 14 Pro or older, like this guy, then I got the comparison video for you. I did a full comparison of the 14 Pro Max and the 17 Pro Max, so check that out right up here. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, hit subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time.